What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some very entertaining battles in the Open Great League, since I don't really have much to showcase in the Little Halloween Cup or in the Open Master League. And by the way, if you do want to submit in either of those leagues, then that's absolutely fine. I'm happy to shoutcast them, but I do want to see some unique teams that really stand out and get me excited to watch. Anyways, back to this video. These battles were submitted to the channel by MaxiPad, and they're featuring a very unique team with Tyrant in the lead, Dedenne and Komala in the back. And let me tell you, Komala absolutely pops off in these battles. Of course, we already know how strong Dunsparce and Licky Licky are with the rollout buff, and I guess to an extent Miltank as well, but Komala really benefits from that buff. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to both Alan and Arctic Cat for their donations and gifted memberships in my recent live stream. As always, very much appreciate the support. But with that being said, let's get into the question of the day. Now, I do want to mention that you can now also request a question of the day to be asked alongside your battles in a video. So this trainer submitted their battles I think a couple of weeks ago, which is why this is Community Day related, but they said, with Mankey being announced as the next Community Day Pokemon, should Niantic bring back the poll options for future Community Days? And for anyone that doesn't know, I think there was a previous Community Day where they were given 4 different options in polls on Twitter, where the community then voted for the Pokemon that they wanted to be featured on that Community Day. Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so going into the first battle, Tyrant into Altaria. So Battle of the Dragons, of course, Altaria is definitely going to be bulkier than Tyrant, but we do outpace them quite significantly to those charge moves. So going to go and fire off the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw is going to grab the first shield from the opponent. We're choosing to stay in here. Can we make it to a second move? And we are just barely able to do so. That's absolutely huge. This should be grabbing the final shield from the opponent already, as that would be a huge waste of energy. We can now come in with the Dedenne. They might go for a Dazzling Gleam or a Moonblast or something like that. We're going to shield. It is just a Sky Attack, which is resisted, so a bit unfortunate there, but I think that was the safe play. At this point, we can definitely tank a Leaf Blade pretty comfortably as well, so gonna no shield. They go for the Leaf Blade. Honestly, that does more damage than I was expecting, but either way, gonna overfarm just slightly, gonna fire off a Play Rough. Play Rough will easily one-shot the Shift Tree, and we're gonna swap straight away into Komala. They've got Talonflame in the back, and look at that rollout damage. Of course, a lot of the other rollout users are pretty bulky. Komala, not so much, so those rollouts absolutely decimating this Talonflame. We go for one extra rollout, fire off the charge move there, making sure we avoid the damage from the Incinerate. Payback gets the KO, and of course Altaria is in range where we can just farm them down, and we're able to take that game. So going into the next battle, Charger Bug in the lead, so pretty good matchup for us, of course, going to resist the electric type damage. The opponent's going to Safe Swap into a Loma Mola. We're going to respond with our Dedenne, and we are running Parabolic Charge here, which means if we do get lucky, we can boost up our defense. So we're going to go for the first one, grabbing a shield, and we do boost our defense, which is very nice, although these waterfalls are still chunking quite a fair bit. We're going to shield anyways. They've overfarmed massively, and the opponent goes for the Hydro Pump, which would definitely take us out, even with the defense, the defense buff there. We're throwing very awkward timing this time around though, unfortunately. Parabolic Charge is going to be double shielded anyways, this time throwing on much better timing there. I think we threw there just because we were at 100 energy, but either way, Parabolic Charge number 2 actually still doesn't get the KO there, and we have to throw another charge move there just to guarantee this matchup. So honestly, Parabolic Charge, even though we're boosting up our defense by like 3 or 4 stages at that point, still didn't make it that convincing. But we're going to see Galarian Stunfisk, and this is honestly pretty tricky for us. It's probably one of the reasons why we're running Bulldoze on our Komala, because otherwise we just have no coverage whatsoever for like steel and ground type Pokemon. We do land the Bulldoze there. We're going to shield the opponent, full sends the Earthquake, and at this point the opponent might try and catch the next charge move onto their Charge Bug, and they do exactly that. So we're going to come in with the Tyrant. We of course have no shields remaining. A single charge move won't KO though, so they're going to go for the X-Scissor. We're going straight for Ancient Power here, and we are going to undercharge this. Ancient Power, not enough damage to get the KO, but it forces the opponent to throw the energy straight away, and that is such a smart play because we did not leave with a charge we've loaded. So now we can come in with Komala, get that rollout farm down, leaving with the Bulldoze loaded, and we've seen already one Bulldoze does over 50% of their HP. It easily takes out the Stunfisk, and we're able to take that game. Into the next battle, another Battle of the Dragons, and we're going to see Shadow Dragonair in the lead. So we are going to see the opponent's going to Safe Swap into a Feraligatr, and once again another water Pokemon where Dedenne probably not actually going to have that comfortable of a time. So we are going to no shield. We just barely hang on there. That was either very well calculated or an incredibly lucky play there. But either way, Parabolic Charge grabs a shield advantage. We're going to come back in with Tyrant, and honestly, we can probably just commit one shield and go for a huge Dragon Tail farm down. So I think that will be the play here. Can we get the farm down? We absolutely can. We come out with a ton of loaded energy, and they're going to come in with a Gligar. So both Ancient Power and Dragon Claw are going to be neutral in this situation. Ancient Power going to do slightly more damage. I think it might be slightly less energy efficient, but doesn't really matter too much. We're coming in with the Komala, and the opponent will throw a charge move. The opponent's going to go and full send the dig, which we do correctly shield. We are over farming, expecting the opponent to swap back into Dragonair, so holding on to the energy, firing off the payback. Payback easily one-shots the Shadow Dragonair. They come back in with the Gligar, and we make it to another payback. Does this do enough damage to get the KO here? It absolutely does. We take out the Shadow Gligar, and we're able to take that game. So going into the next battle, you can see Tyrant into Talonflame, so a great matchup for us, and just in general, the entire team does very well there, but unfortunately, up against a Wigglytuff, the entire team probably loses in any even shield scenario. Certainly Tyrant is going to lose there, but also we can come in with the Dene, going to go for the Parabolic Charge, and unfortunately, we don't get the defense boost this time around. Honestly, I think it might be worthwhile shielding just to grab a shield back from the opponent, and even if the opponent does just let this go through, it doesn't really matter as we have two Pokemon that are going to very comfortably deal with that Talonflame anyways. They're going to shield, and they will be able to fully charm farm us down, but that's okay. We can come in with the Komala here and possibly shield once and go for a huge rollout farm down, although we will come out with very low HP remaining, so maybe not the best idea. We're going to commit to it, and we are actually going to swap into our Tyrant there, which is a very interesting play. But let's see, they come back in with the Talonflame, which doesn't really make an awful lot of sense, but they're running double fire in the back, so I guess it does make sense there. We throw it on very poor timing, which is unfortunate, as we do give away a full Incinerate in for free, but the opponent decides not to shield anyway, so doesn't really matter at this point. We're now going to bait. Not really necessary here, as the opponent is going to go and overfarm, farming up to 100 energy before throwing a charge move here. The opponent has to go for a Brave Bird to get the KO here. Fly just doesn't do enough damage, so we can come in with our Komala, go straight for Payback, and Payback will of course be enough to take out the Talonflame, and we're able to take that game. So going into the next battle, you can see Tyrant into Serperior. So a fairly neutral matchup here. Honestly, probably worth staying in because the Dane's not going to have a great time. So we are going to not throw the charge move straight away. The opponent does throw straight away, and the opponent goes for the Frenzy Plant, which does huge damage there. Honestly, at this point, I think we should have gone for back-to-back Dragon Claws. I'm not certain if we make it to 2 moves if we go for the Ancient Power, and we do not get there. But honestly, it looks like we might not have been able to get off a Dragon Claw anyway, so maybe Ancient Power was the correct play there, thinking we'd only get to 1 move. But either way, we come in with a Komala, going to shield the Frenzy Plant this time around. Not going to overfarm at all. Looks like we couldn't overfarm there because the opponent already had another charge move. We go for the Payback. Payback gets the KO, but let's see, the opponent's going to come in with a Dugong, so we are going to stay in this matchup, of course. Going to go and fire off a Payback on this potential CMP tie, so Payback will be coming through. Payback is going to be shielded by the opponent, so at this point I'm going to let the Komala go down here. Actually, we might live this still, so Icy Wind does not get the KO. We swap out there, going to come in with the Dene, and we're able to make it to a Parabolic Charge on the CMP tie with this Dugong, so of course Parabolic Charge is going to barely not get the KO there, which is very unfortunate. I think it's worth shielding, and the opponent does full send the Drill Run there, so we do shield that up there. We are boosted in our defense, but they've got a Clodsire in the back, so unfortunately there's just nothing we can do here. The Dene completely walled by Clodsire. We go for Play Rough. That does laughable damage. And at this point, the opponent can just massively overfarm if they want to. Komala, I don't think, has any chance of reaching a charge move. They go for the Earthquake, they get the one-shot there, and nope, unfortunately, 3 more Poison Stings, they take out our Komala, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. But into the next battle, you can see a Turtonator in the lead, so this is a great matchup for us, of course, going to double resist to fire damage, whilst dealing super effective damage with the dragon damage there. They're going to swap into Levani. We're going for, well, we farmed up to the Ancient Power before throwing a Dragon Claw, grabbing a shield from the opponent. At this point, honestly, I probably would have swapped into my Komala here, but either way, we are going to shield up the Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade would be neutral damage, but I think Komala would just be better here because, of course, going to hit for super effective damage with those rollouts and double resist the Shadow Claw damage. But either way, staying in with the Tyrant, going for a huge Dragon Tail farm down. But let's see what the opponent wants to do. They're going to come in with a Feraligatr, so we're going straight for the Ancient Power here. Ancient Power, once again, going to do slightly more damage than the Dragon Claws, not by much, but it's still a little bit more damage there. We can now fire off the Dragon Claw. This is going to grab a shield, and now we swap into our Komala, of course. Going to resist the Shadow Claw damage up against this Feraligatr as well. I think the opponent might have farmed up to back-to-back charge moves here, so they go for the Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon doesn't get the KO, and they do swap out into their Turtonator, meaning we can throw the Bulldoze. Bulldoze takes out the Turtonator, and we're able to roll out, farm down the Feraligatr, and take that game. Into the next battle, awful lead matchup for us, so we're going to say swap into our Komala, and the opponent is going to swap into Lucario. And do they know that we're running Bulldoze? I think the typical moveset is like Play Rough and Payback, so we go for the Bulldoze. Bulldoze gets the one shot up against Lucario. We flip switch advantage, which is absolutely huge for us. And let's see what the opponent wants to do. They're going to come in with a Talonflame. What are they doing? They're taking huge damage from those rollouts. Of course, Talonflame is going to be completely walled by this Tyrant here, so the opponent had to fight for switch advantage there. And this should be pretty comfortable for us though, although we've seen already Dedenne has kind of struggled up against water types, despite of course being an electric type Pokemon. But either way, you're going to go and fire off the Dragon Claw here. Dragon Claw is going to be no shielded by the opponent, makes an awful lot of sense. They come in with the Azumarill, we swap into our Dedenne, and I think we just shield whatever they throw first, because of course we can potentially boost up our defense. They full send the Hydro Pump there, so definitely worth shielding that. And now this should be very comfortable. We're going for the Parabolic Charge. Parabolic Charge is no shielded, it boosts up our defense, and at this point the opponent just concedes the match there, as there's not a lot they can do, and we're able to take that game. So going into the next big game, we're going to see Tyrant into Ampharos. So again, a pretty good matchup for us. Of course, going to resist the electric type damage. We're going to take neutral damage from the potential Brutal Swings or the potential Trailblazers, but either way, still going to no shield. They go for Brutal Swing, that's fine with us. They're now going to swap into Dunsparce, so their own rollout user. We're going straight for Ancient Power. Ancient Power is going to be no shielded, and we do not get the boost there. We're now going to swap. We try to catch a Drill Run onto our Komala, which makes a lot of sense, as it would be neutral damage instead of being super effective. But either way, unfortunately, they don't throw straight away. They're still going to have to throw anyway, so it doesn't really make a difference here. And at this point, we might just fully sacrifice Komala. Yeah, we're going to do exactly that as they go for a second Drill Run. We can now come back in with the Tyrant, and we're going to go and throw on the potential CMP type with the next charge move. Dragon Claw gets the KO up against Dunsparce. They're going to come back in with the Ampharos though. So we're going for another Dragon Claw. This should be enough damage to get the KO, but the opponent might commit a shield here, going for the Volt Switch farm down, and they're going to do exactly that. No, actually, never mind. They swap into a Shadow Drapion, and this is going to be very tricky for us. Of course, we are going to shield the first move as the opponent goes for the Aqua Tail. We are going to go for the Parabolic, or I was going to say we should go for the Parabolic Charge here, but actually both moves will be neutral here. So we're going to farm, throw on the potential CMP tie, going for the Parabolic Charge, grabbing the shield there, but not boosting up our defense, and that might be costly for us. The opponent going to go for another Aqua Tail. We have to commit to a Play Rough this time around. Oh, we're not going to commit to it as we don't quite get there in time. So we're going for another Parabolic Charge. Parabolic Charge doesn't boost our defense once again, and they just barely live that with 1 HP and a Dream. Aqua Tail gets the KO, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But into the next battle, we can see Tyrant into Tropius. So depending on the fast move, if they're running Air Slash, which they are, this is going to be a very good matchup for us. Honestly, we can probably just play out the zero shield scenario. Going to no shield the first charge move, go for an Ancient Power, and Ancient Power might be enough damage to put them into farm down range, but if it doesn't, then unfortunately we might actually lose the zero shield scenario here. But Ancient Power does huge damage, more damage than I was expecting actually, and we do get that Dragon Tail farm down. They're going to come in with a Swampert, and we're going to go for a Dragon Claw here, of course. No point swapping out, and honestly Swampert going to be pretty tricky for our backline. Never mind, we are going to swap out here. We kind of needed to actually, just because we don't want to give them any extra farm, and this is already a good matchup for the Swampert, so I don't really think they would swap out of this matchup unless they had a really strong answer to Komala in the back. But it is a Pokemon that maybe not a lot of people are used to seeing, so maybe they do have a strong answer to Komala, but they just don't realize it. But either way, going to go and fire off the Payback. Payback from this range is going to be grabbing the final shield there, and the opponent is going to continue to overfarm. We of course have no shields remaining. Very good overfarm from the opponent there, throwing just before we make it to the charge move. And this is a really tricky situation here, but we're going to come in with the Dedenne here, and we are going to see the opponent's going to continue to overfarm. We try to make the catch, but the opponent doesn't throw the charge move for some reason. I don't know why. And eventually they throw, but they throw on CMP, losing CMP. We boost up our defense, and they've got a Talonflame in the back. So if a Parabolic Charge is enough damage to get the KO here, then we just win. So we go for the Parabolic Charge, and it does get the KO there. Honestly, don't have a clue why the Swampert didn't throw a Hydro Cannon there, but either way, we're going to take it. And into the next battle, we can see a Dragapult in the lead, so this is a great matchup for us, and just in general, our whole team does fairly well there, although I think actually Dedenne probably would struggle the most, just because the Astonish damage would do quite a lot there, and we'd have to land a Play Rough to do any meaningful damage, but either way, they swap into Shadow for Alligator. We're going to go and fire off the Dragon Claw just before they make it to the next Hydro Cannon, grabbing the first shield from the opponent. They will make it to another charge move here, but we're happy to just double shield, go for a full Dragon Tail farm down, and come out with an Ancient Power loaded. The opponent comes in with a shiny Shadow Galarian Weezing, which is very cool flex there. We're going for the Ancient Power. Ancient Power does some decent damage. We swap into Komala, and the opponent reactionary swap into Dragapult, realizing they've kind of messed up there, so they just concede the match. So going into the next battle, Azumarill in the lead once again, so definitely going to be save swapping into our Komala, and let's see, is the opponent going to stay in here? They are going to stay in, eventually, before swapping into Hypno, but we are running Payback. We full send the Payback. Payback does huge damage, and because of the roll-up damage buff this season, we get a massive farm down there, which is huge for us. They come back in with Azumarill. We're going to go and fire off the Bulldoze. Honestly, I think that might have been a CMP tie here. Bulldoze is going to be no shielded, and it is a CMP tie, so literally perfect for us. We can, of course, no shield as they go for an Ice Beam. We can come in with the Dedenne, and now things are looking great for us. It kind of just depends what they've got in the back. The opponent's going to come in with a Bastiodon, and unfortunately, this is just not good for us whatsoever. So we're just going to fully sacrifice the Tyrant at this point. Probably just going to no shield, and we're going to have to put our faith into Dedenne in the end game. I do agree that we swap out here just because maybe we can grab a shield. I know the evolution of Tyrantrum has Earthquake, so we might grab a shield here, and unfortunately, no, we're not able to do so. But we can go for back-to-back Dragon Claws. Really not going to do much damage here whatsoever, but maybe Dedenne has some play in this matchup here if we can start boosting up our defense. Again, not throwing on the best timing there. We go after 2 Thunder Shocks, I believe that was. We go for Parabolic Charge, and we do actually boost up our defense. And also remember, SmackDown did get nerfed this season, so of course, they're not going to do as much fast move damage this season compared to previous seasons. This time much better timing, throwing after 4 Thunder Shocks, going for Parabolic Charge, and we grab a shield and we boost our defense. Once again, they swap into Azumarill. That might have been a CMP tie there. We go for another Parabolic Charge. Parabolic Charge gets the KO. We don't get the boost to our defense this time around. All shields are down though, and this is a very slow Pokemon to reach the charge moves. So can Dedenne make it to 2 more charge moves up against this Bastiodon? I don't think Parabolic Charge will get the KO from this range, so we go for it anyways, and it doesn't get the KO, but we can actually go for a Thunder Shock farm down, taking out the Bastiodon, and we're able to take that game. So going into the next battle, we can see Tyrant into Venusaur, so a fairly neutral matchup here, and we are probably just going to stay in, maybe wait for the opponent to try and throw straight away, and they do exactly that. So we go for the extra Dragon Tail there, meaning we will outpace them to back-to-back charge moves before they make it to the next Frenzy Plant, which is very nice. And again, going to farm up to the back-to-back charge moves, fire off the first Dragon Claw. If they shield this, probably throw the next one straight away, and we're going to do exactly that. So of course, Dragon Claw number 2 coming through. It is going to be double shielded by the Venusaur, and this one we're also going to double shield as we can just fully commit to a Dragon Tail farm down, and we will come out with close to another charge move already loaded. They're going to come in with a Azumarill. We're going to swap into our Komala once again, and the opponent is choosing to stay in initially and then swapping into Bastiodon, and this is definitely much better for us as we are running Bulldoze. Of course, Bulldoze, not the best move by any means, but it's going to hit full double super effective. It does huge damage there, and now we're actually going to go for a Payback, which doesn't really make an awful lot of sense. I think they might be the same energy, but either way, Payback still gets the KO there, so doesn't really make a difference there. And either way, they're going to go and throw a charge move up against our Komala. Ice Beam gets a KO. We can come in with the Dedenne here, and we should be looking fine. Of course, if they are running Hydro Pump, that might be enough damage to get the KO, but of course we could also get a defense boost with Parabolic Charge, and we don't get the defense boost here, but either way, I think we put them into Ancient Power range. The opponent goes for a Play Rough. That doesn't do enough damage. We're going to come in with our Tyrant just for the sake of it, as we do have the Ancient Power. We can throw it up against the Azu, taking out the Azumarill with the Ancient Power, and we're able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated. And with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.